Hello Internet, Rob from A Minor Error with another production tip video. This is a trick that I discovered along the way. I've seen a bunch of different people talk about it and wanted to just throw my kind of 2 cents out there about, one of the things that I find is the most important to really help get a guitar to sit in a mix, especially in a heavy guitar setting, specifically when there's palm muting. And I first saw this, I'm trying to even think whose video I saw talking about this. I can't even remember now, actually. Basically talking about, how to nail that heavy, metal, gent, rock, whatever genre you're in, kind of guitar tone. And, a big part of that is EQing in general, learning how to shape the sound. I would say, I've watched different videos online where people are using like 2-3 EQs to help kind of carve the sound. And I do think that's a little overkill, and you really don't need to do that. You really need, a good, just sort of some decent IR with, the mics set on. You really have to start there, get a decent source signal to begin with, whether you're recording, live, actual amps, reamping, or if you're using some sort of an IR, then you're going to need to do some sort of EQing. You're going to have to kind of corral that sound so that it's not too harsh on the top end and not too much bass on the low end. But then the problem you're going to run into is the palm mutes, because the palm mutes are going to accentuate the bass, just make it become unmanageable in a mix. And that's where, a dynamic EQ on your rhythm guitars, but also on the leads, if there's palm muting, is going to go a long way to really get them to sit in the mix, but also kind of be exciting. What is a dynamic equalizer? So a dynamic EQ is basically a compressor that you set to a specific band or a specific frequency. And there's all different types of dynamic EQs out there. I recently checked out Soothe, which is another one. Soothe basically will make a whole bunch of teeny little razor blade size cuts, like what you would be doing with these kind of frequency carving outs, but specifically just when they pop up to help soothe the sound. That's more of a specialized kind of a plugin. Most DAWs are going to come with some sort of a regular old dynamic EQ. And I'm using Motu's Digital Performer. There's probably nobody else that's going to be watching this that has DP. But, basically the idea here is that you're trying to pick or find the frequencies that are specifically jumping out on the palm mutes, and then just lightly compress them, just clamp down on them. So what's cool about a dynamic EQ is that it will only apply this EQ cut when those frequencies jump out or become overbearing. A regular EQ is going to apply this as basically like a stamp over top of the whole sound continuously. So this is a little original demo that I wrote for a test of a Legator guitar. And basically I'll just let it play and watch how when I hit the palm mutes on this little riff, you're going to see both of these compressors on the left and right channel. I didn't combine it into a stereo file yet, but whatever. You're going to see it just kind of clamp down and control those so that they don't overpower in that part. So it's really just clamping down on the palm mutes, and then on the higher lines, on the higher notes that don't have those frequencies present, it's having no effect. And then you're basically getting the best of both worlds, essentially. You're getting the control that you would have gotten with an EQ on that part, but only applied when you want it to. And this is like just so vital if you're in a heavy rock or metal setting, because palm muting is a huge element of that genre and style, and something the guitars are going to be doing very often. So I'll play it again. I'm going to turn it on and off, and hopefully you'll be able to really hear how the palm mutes just become uncontrolled. It's just, it loses the definition. Sorry about the audio kind of cutting in and out here and there when I hit play. I'm sort of apparently at the edge of what my computer can do with all of these plugins running and the screen capture and the capturing my spoken voice. But I think that makes a huge, huge difference and is really vitally important in getting that guitar to sit in the mix. The other thing that I've sort of discovered along the way is that a lot of times, all of a sudden in certain sections, the limiter would end up clipping if you weren't doing something like this. So if you're doing this, you're going to be able to push your limiter harder without getting distortion, and then therefore get a louder mix, which will basically sound better. If you... Well, I mean, it's part of the loudness wars. I mean, that's what this is all about, is trying to get as loud as you possibly can. So this is really critical to rhythm guitar playing, but I've also been applying it to the lead guitar stuff recently. I've really found that, palm muting is a big part of my lead playing as well, especially if you've got like a fast run. There's plenty of spots where, you're going to be palm muting a quick run, and that's where this same trick will work really, really, really well. So anything that's palm muted, whether it's a rhythm guitar part or a lead, I like to use an instance of a dynamic EQ to help control those frequencies. So in this little lead section, I'm opening with a quick little 16th note run and just doing the exact same trick to kind of clamp down on those palm mutes and help keep those frequencies from basically going out of control. And you can see it's also kicking on certain lines where I'm doing either a legato line and there's a buildup of those low frequencies. And I've really, really been finding I love this trick to help kind of control the lead in those specific instances. And then when I'm playing a higher note or up where there isn't a buildup, then that dynamic EQ isn't cutting into the frequencies, and you get it nice and clear with all of basically the body of the lower end. Basically see, anytime I'm ending up on some lower notes, then it's gonna kind of clamp down ever so slightly, even if I'm not palm muting, and I really like the result that creates. So I would highly recommend experimenting with this on all aspects of guitars. I find it very, very important to help really get a controlled sound, and you don't need to go out and buy like some sort of a third-party plugin or something like that. Whatever dynamic EQ is in your DAW is going to work. In this case, it's like just using the one band. I've got all the other bands disabled. I'm only focusing in on that lower band, right when those frequencies would be building up. And this will do absolute wonders, because even if you've got an EQ on, and I've gotten a pretty aggressive EQ with a high-pass filter running, I'm rolling it up around, what am I at? I'm at 100 hertz, so it's already taken out a lot of the lower junk that you wouldn't want to do with just a static EQ, because then you're going to take away the body of the guitar sound. It's just specifically controlling those specific frequencies when they build up too much. So I hope that you guys learned something today, and I hope this will help kind of kick your productions up a notch. I would definitely recommend doing this, obviously, on the rhythm guitar, but I've been doing it on the leads, and I think I've been getting really nice results with it as well.